Good evening. Welcome to the August 19th, 2024 meeting of the Stillwater City Council. This time I will call the meeting to order and I'll ask that you all stand and join us in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, we'll get started tonight with a proclamation. We have a proclamation in recognition of Overdose Awareness Day, which is this month. So I'll go ahead and read this. Whereas the City of Stillwater does affirm and acknowledge the harm and hardship caused by drug overdose, and whereas we recognize the purpose of International Overdose Awareness Day as remembering loved ones lost to overdose and ending the stigma of drug-related deaths, and whereas we resolve to do our part in reducing the toll of overdose in our community, which claimed the lives of more than 350 people in Payne County, Oklahoma from 2021 to 2023, with countless more people forever affected. And whereas we affirm that those affected by overdose are our children, parents, and other family members and friends, and they are deserving of love, compassion, and support. Now therefore, I, William Joyce, Mayor of the City of Stillwater, do hereby proclaim August 31st, 2024 as International Overdose Awareness Day in the City of Stillwater. All right. Counselors, next item on the agenda is our consent docket. Questions, comments, or action on the consent docket?
I would like to pull item 4B.
4B, okay.
Motion
Go ahead.
to approve consent docket minus item 4B.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the consent docket minus item B. Please vote. With a vote of 5-0, that is approved. That'll take us to items removed from the consent docket. Item B. Councilor Clark.
I had sent a note in to the city manager asking for some more information about the fire station, what actions have been taken to bring it within the budget, and how we're progressing on the construction, and when we can see some more positive action out there. And I think Candy's prepared to come talk about that.
I prepared quickly. I already had something from last week. Good afternoon, counselors. Candy Starring, Engineering Director. I'm realizing I don't have my notes, so I am going to look at the screen and pretend like I know what I'm talking about without my notes. This is a time project together investing in municipal excellence. It has been, it was early 2022 when the vote happened as far as the background, and we've since been doing design and survey and bid packages through our CMAR contract. Our architect is BCI, our CMAR is Crossland. They were both going to be here, and I let them know it was on consent docket, so they didn't need to be here. So to talk a little bit about where we've been since the last, I think I was here maybe in April with work package 2, and it was looking pretty bad. We were way over budget, and we're still over budget based on the $9 million GEO bond voting number. But when we executed work package 2, we did it with zero contingency and promised through our CMAR system that we would pull back on some things to create contingency. And so where contingency 1 started with about 35 or 40,000 in contingency, work package 2 started with none, but we've created about 180,000 in contingency. And so work package 3 came along, and in between 2 and 3, we knew we had to pull back because the bids came in so high. And so this list that you see here, and I will pass it around.
Sure.
I realize that the folks at home probably can't see this, but this is ended up being the amendment that we sent through our architect contract so that they could revise the plans and pull back on some of the items that we had in there to either reduce the quality in some ways, because we got good metal panels, but we didn't get the metal panels we started out with. We didn't get the standing seam roof, which we wanted, but we are getting a TPO with that thermoplastic liner. So some of the things we're doing are trade-offs because we don't have the budget to pay for it, but we still have a fantastic fire station. We pulled back on millwork. We didn't pull back in areas that we knew we needed it to sustain a 100-year life. For example, we have quartz countertops because we know that having a 24/7 fire station, people in the kitchen all the time, that's something that in 100 years we'd like it to still look and work and be nice. Chief Esri's here tonight also. So he can help if you guys have questions that I can't answer. So a lot of this is architecture things, and I can answer some but can't answer all. And for questions that I cannot answer, I can get those answers to you after today. But you'll see this long list of things that we can go over in detail. If you all remember the old picture of the fire station, which had the entryway, the awning over to the north, and the south patio covered with the screen, all removed. This is what it looks like. This is the rendering for how it will look. If you remember the celestial, I don't say that very well, windows with the columns, those are now removed. We had some skylights, those are now removed. So it's a beautiful fire station. When we look at this, if we started out here, we would have been very proud, and I'm very proud today to look at it and know that we're going to get this fantastic fire station that the crews are going to move into, and we're going to be proud of it. But it doesn't look exactly like it started. So does anybody have any questions about what we did remove as we're here on this sheet?
Not about that, but how much over budget are we now? How
Okay.
much are we over the bond amount?
So this was work package 3, and all these direct bids, just the actual bid to the contractor, got us to the $1,729,000 number. And then we combined that work package 3 with the other work packages, which is the $6.4 million number, to get to a total of 8.2. That's just the construction, the pre-construction, and then work package 1, 2, and 3. So we're at 8.254. And then we take that number, approximately 8.3, and we add it to all the other items that we have in our total budget spreadsheet, which are about 1.5, and we get to a total of 9.8.
And the bond amount was how much?
9.
9
Yes.
on the nose? Okay.
So there's other items. So onto that 9, and Christy Cluck is also here, and she can tell you things that I can't. But there's interest and proceeds and different things that come in. It cost us $125,000 to get the bond. That was a bond sales expense. But then there's money coming in and interest on that, apparently, that adds up to even higher. So the bond will ultimately be a little bit higher. We also have $150,000 from OSU to do a road share agreement that we're working on. And we have, Christie's identified a rural fire fund and a miscellaneous fire fund that we can pull from as we get to the end of this and need that for like the furniture, fixtures, and appliances, for example. We haven't paid for that yet. But we, in some of the IT and fiber work, we haven't paid for yet. So as we get to need those items, then Christy will come through for us.
Okay.
Christie always comes through for us.
No pressure.
And the budget amendment that we're looking at tonight is actually the additional funds being added to the budget.
It is.
Coming from OSU and from the bond proceeds. right?
Exactly, to get us just to the point we need right now, but not to finish all the way out.
Okay.
Okay. And then construction update, where are we and when can we start seeing something come up out of the ground?
So they've had a little bit of a change on site. We have built the grade beams, and I have not had a chance. I was out last week, so I haven't had a chance to look back at the minutes to know when we're going to start seeing vertical go up. But because of this some of this they were waiting on to actually make some of the structure stuff, the structural steel. So they did do some embedments, but most of what they're waiting on is this, to say yes. We say yes, go do your contracts, go start your project. They still have the same schedule deadline, June 2025, to meet.
Okay.
So that's not a very specific answer, but I will ask for very specifics. I can provide a schedule that they've been providing us that is very detailed in when they expect to do the structures.
But we should start seeing progress soon because
Yes.
we're going to approve this tonight, theoretically.
Yes, so for the public looking at a site like this, when I think there's been a lot going on, they don't. because this is underground utilities and concrete below the ground and piers and all these things that we don't see, roads that are flat, and unless you're on site, you're not aware that those are happening. So, and the part of this work that Crossland and CMAR has been bidding out the third package, and so that's taken a lot of effort. But where they don't see it rising up, that will happen very soon, probably in the next 30 to 45 days, start to see some things above ground.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Candy.
Any more questions?
Action on the item?
I move approval of item 4B.
Second.
Oh,
We have a motion and a second to approve item 4B. Please vote. It's approved with a vote of 5-0. All right, that takes us to item 7 on the agenda, public hearings. 7A is the first public hearing pursuant to 62 OS Section 859 and presentation of the proposed Stillwater Data Center Economic Development Project Plan and its supporting 6 incentive districts for the purpose of providing information, including an analysis of potential positive or negative impacts and answering questions regarding the proposed project plan and incentive districts. And Lisa Harden from the Center for Economic Development Law, who is our special counsel for economic development projects, is here to present this project to us. There you go.
And by the way, no relation to this Harden. We spell our names differently.
correct, different spelling. Excuse me. Thank you. Can you hear me okay?
Okay.
Good evening, honorable members of the City Council. My name is Lisa Harden. I'm with the Center for Economic Development Law in Oklahoma City. Together with my law partner, Dan Batchelor, we have been working with your city staff, the city attorney's office, and the mayor to develop a comprehensive project plan for the development of a new data center campus here in Stillwater.
Lisa, could you please just maybe get the mic a little closer to you?
Sure.
A little
Is this
softer.
better?
Yes,
Great,
thank you.
Although Dan, the architect behind many of the detailed strategies of this proposed plan, is unable to be here this evening, he sends his regards and support for the discussions we will have. So I present to you an overview of the proposed Stillwater Data Center Economic Development Project Plan and supporting incentive districts, which, if approved, will create 6 incentive districts to support the development of a new data center campus in Stillwater in an undeveloped and underutilized area. The project is designed to facilitate the development, but also to generate significant new revenue streams for the city, the Stillwater Public Schools, Meridian Technology Center, Payne County, and the Payne County Health Department. Furthermore, it aims to create high-quality, temporary, and permanent jobs, boosting local employment and economic stability. For an overview of the project, the company proposes to undertake the development of a data center campus across 386 acres within city limits, which are bordered by East Richmond Road, East Airport Road, North Perkins Road, and North Jardeau Road. The company's near-term plan includes development of up to 2 phases, with an additional 4 phases potentially planned for future development. Each phase is anticipated to include a 300,000 square foot data center and related supporting facilities. The company's estimated private investment is expected to be at least $500 million per phase. The project plan will offer incentives to the company for each phase of the development to help offset its costs of infrastructure and utility capacity required to serve the data center development. The proposed incentive is to create an ad valorem tax exemption on all new investment attributable to the qualifying new development within each incentive district. In consideration of these exemptions, the company has agreed to make community betterment payments to the city and payments in lieu of taxes to each of the affected taxing entities, which I'll cover in more detail in just a few minutes. The proposed development is anticipated to create 30 new quality jobs per phase and hundreds of construction jobs during construction. So here's a map of the proposed project area. Shows the boundaries of the project area. And this map shows the same project area and the identification of each of the 6 proposed incentive districts within the project area. Our analysis of the project plan begins with a review of the Oklahoma Constitution and the Oklahoma Development Act, which is codified at 62 OS Section 850. Under Section 10, under Article 10, Section 6C of the Oklahoma Constitution and the Local Development Act, the city is empowered to establish tax incentive districts specifically designed to stimulate investment in areas that are currently underdeveloped or economically stagnant. Historically, tax incentive districts have been limited to providing exemptions, whether full or partial exemptions, for a 5-year period or up to 6 years for areas that are within an enterprise zone. However, the Oklahoma legislature has recently amended the Local Development Act to specifically include businesses such as the companies with a specific industry code for data processing that allows for full or partial tax exemptions that can extend up to 25 years. Under the Local Development Act, incentive districts are established with the council approval of a project plan and a written agreement executed by each of the taxing entities whose taxes will be relieved as part of the incentives granted. Another component of our legal review is to determine eligibility of the project area and incentive districts. The Local Development Act requires that the project area or incentive districts be within a reinvestment area, a historic preservation area, or an enterprise area, or some combination of the 3. Here we have determined that the project area and incentive districts are within an enterprise area as defined by the Local Development Act, which refers to a designated enterprise zone that is specifically identified by the Oklahoma Department of Commerce as an area that presents opportunities for economic growth, but may be currently underutilized, underdeveloped, or economically distressed. We have also determined that the project area and incentive districts meet the definition of a reinvestment area as defined by the Local Development Act, as public improvements are required to reverse economic stagnation or decline, to serve as a catalyst for expanding employment and to attract major investment to an undeveloped area. An overview of the project plan is that the first 2 phases of the project will be undertaken pursuant to an economic development agreement between the city, the Stillwater Economic Development Authority, and the company, which is anticipated to be approved concurrently with the City Council's adoption of the project plan. A supplemental development agreement is required for all subsequent future phases of the project. Under the project plan, 6 incentive districts will be created, 1 for each potential data center, each with a term of 25 years. For each incentive district, all qualifying new investments in real and personal property in the incentive district will be afforded a 100% exemption, and no ad valorem taxes will be assessed against such property. The project plan and the development agreement provide timelines for the development of phases 1 and 2 and the creation of those incentive districts, as well as the subsequent phases. So if that timeline isn't followed, the incentive districts for the future phases may be terminated. The project plan also identifies payments in lieu of taxes that will be made by the company to the affected taxing entities, as well as community betterment payments and franchise fees to the city. It provides, consistent with the Local Development Act, that the tax incentive agreement between the taxing entities and the company must be approved within 60 days of the City Council's approval of the project plan and provides a budget of project costs. As for the pilot payments, excuse me, I'm going to take a drink of water. The pilot payments for phase 1 and 2 of the project have been set. For phase 1, the company shall make an annual pilot payment to each taxing entity beginning the year following completion of the phase. The amount determined for phase 1, the total amount is $867,568, which will be dispersed to each taxing entity as illustrated on this slide. After this initial annual payment, the annual payments to each taxing entity will increase by 1% on an annual basis. The pilot payments for phase 2 follow a similar structure. And so here you can see an illustration of the anticipated pilot payments for each taxing entity for phase 1 and phase 2 over a 25-year period. So the Stillwater Public Schools will receive over $17 million over 25 years for phase 1. Meridian Technology will receive $3.8 million. The county will receive $2.5 million, and the health department a little over $500,000 for phase 1. And because of the annual increase in payments, those payments are larger for phase 2. For subsequent phases, 3, 4, 5, and 6, assuming the city and the company and the Economic Development Authority have executed a supplemental development agreement, the pilot payments for those phases will be determined based on a formula that looks like on the screen you have in front of you now, which is the phase 1 pilot payment multiplied by CPI in the commencement year for that phase, divided by CPI for 2024. Once that amount is set, that establishes the first pilot payment, and thereafter pilot payments will increase annually by 1%. In addition to the pilot payments, the company will also make community betterment payments to the city. This has been determined for phase 1 and phase 2. The initial payment to the city for phase 1 has been set at $132,000 and $132,432. After this first annual payment, payments will increase 1% annually, and a similar payment schedule is established for phase 2. So for phase 1, total community betterment payments are expected to exceed $3.7 million. And for phase 2, the total is expected to exceed $3.9 million. For phases 3 through 6, any community betterment payments are reserved and will be determined pursuant to a supplemental development agreement between the company, the city, and the Economic Development Authority. In addition to the community betterment payments, the city will receive franchise fees based on OG&E's sale of electric power to the company. The franchise fees is 3% of the gross revenues from the sale of electric power to the company, up to a specified cap of $4.5 million. And once that cap is reached, this payment will increase 2% annually. The city estimates this annual franchise fee per phase will be a little over $2 million. And the franchise fees for subsequent phases, if developed by the company, will be determined pursuant to a supplemental economic development agreement. The budget. So the project plan has also established a project budget for a combination of revenues anticipated from phase 1 and phase 2. These are only city revenues. So revenues from the community betterment payments and the franchise fees generate a little over $111 million over 25 years for both phases. So the budget authorizes the expenditure of project costs of those revenues that are generated, for project administration, public improvements and maintenance, public infrastructure, and economic development. The project will have a positive impact on the affected taxing jurisdictions, the city, business activities within the area, and on the greater Stillwater community. The project promises an injection of at least $500 million per phase with the potential of 6 phases. This additional source of funding will bolster the city's economic development initiatives, contribute to the financing of vital public infrastructure needs, and fulfill the capital and operational needs essential to the city's growth. Any increase in demand for services on the taxing entities will be outweighed by the pilot payments and other economic impacts anticipated from the project. An added benefit for all the taxing entities is that valuation increases resulting from the new development are excluded from valuations used to set debt limits and sinking fund levies. This is particularly beneficial to the Stillwater Public Schools, as the valuation of increases in the new development will not cause a reduction in the calculation of state school aid. As required by the Local Development Act, the City Council has previously convened the review committee comprised of representatives from each taxing jurisdiction and 3 members of the public at large, at least one of whom was a member of the business community. The review committee reviewed the project plan and adopted findings that the project area and incentive district meet the conditions for eligibility, determined the financial impacts on the affected taxing jurisdictions and business activities in the area are positive, and recommended unanimously approval of the project plan. The Planning Commission also has reviewed the project plan as required by the Local Development Act, determined conformance with the city's comprehensive plan, and recommended approval of the project plan. In conclusion, I want to mention that we did some research on data center developments in other parts of the country. And while each development is unique and is structured differently and has its own deal terms, we find overall that the benefits to the city and the taxing entities proposed here in this project plan are comparable to others across the country. The public benefits coupled with significant economic impact make a compelling case for approval in our opinion. Next steps are that, the purpose of tonight's hearing is to hold a public hearing as required by the Local Development Act to present information about the project plan and answer questions. A second public hearing has been set for September 9th to allow for the public to present statements in favor of or against the proposed project plan. At the conclusion of that hearing, the council may consider approving the project plan and adopting the project plan and the tax incentive agreement and the economic development agreement. And thereafter, within 60 days of approval, the taxing entities will be asked to review and consider approval of the tax incentive agreement. Thank you for your time. I'm available to answer any questions.
Thank you, Lisa. Councilors, any questions?
Well, I just want to amplify the comments about Stillwater Public Schools. A lot of people don't understand school finance because it's really complicated and it's unusual to the state. But if this property was going to be assessed in the assessed valuation for the county and property taxes assessed, the school district would have an offsetting reduction in their state aid because your collections of property taxes is a deduction in that calculation. So by doing it this way, and not having it affect the property taxes at all, that allows them to maintain all their state aid and get $35 million over 25 years. It's a huge deal for our schools.
It absolutely is.
All right.
Thank you.
Further questions for Lisa at this point? We have a public hearing. At this time, I will open the public hearing. I currently have 3 folks signed up. If you're here, or if you were just sitting here and you decided that you heard something that you'd like to ask a question about, we'd love to have you speak. If you haven't already turned in a form to speak, I don't know if we have some over there or not, but if you go over and see Don and Brady, we can make sure we get you signed up to speak in the public hearing. At this time, I will ask for the folks who are already signed up to come up. Robin Cornwell, we'll start with you. In this public hearing, you'll have 5 minutes to address the council. We ask that you just introduce yourself with your name and address for the record. And just as a reminder, this is the point at which you get to ask any questions that you have, and we'll try to answer as many of them.
Okay, great. Robin Cornwell, 2223 North Crescent Drive. And I had a number of questions, some of which were answered in the presentation. So I've got a question about franchise fees, and I see that's on the agenda later tonight. So I'll go ahead and ask my questions, but it might be answered later. And then I have some questions about energy usage. So about franchise fees, one benefit to the city listed in the project plan is the receipt of franchise fees. Does OG&E have a franchise to operate in the city of Stillwater? I was under the impression that we were obligated to buy all of our power from Grand River Dam Authority. So I wondered about that. And is the franchise fee paid by OG&E or by the company? Who would be the franchisee? Shall I just carry on and ask all my questions?
So, go ahead and we'll get them all out there, and then we'll come back and address them.
Okay. And on energy usage, I appreciate that this project would bring a lot of investment to Stillwater, but I am concerned about the increased use and expansion of fossil fuel energy to support it. From the project plan, it looks like the maximum anticipated payment on the part of the company for electricity for phases 1 and 2 is $150 million per year. I know that's the max estimated, but that constitutes a lot of power. And so my questions are, what plans are in place? 1, to maximize energy efficiency in the project, and 2, to coordinate with the company on the use of solar, wind, and other clean energy. So just, I do appreciate the negotiations that are going on to bring this business and other businesses to Stillwater. But I am concerned about the amount of electricity and where it's going to come from. So that's it.
All right. Well, while you're up here, we'll address a couple of the OG&E ones first,
Okay.
Which are relatively easy for me to address. OG&E, there is an ordinance on first reading for tonight, because we would have to pass an ordinance granting OG&E a franchise to serve this development specifically. That ordinance would have to pass the city council on 2 readings, and then it would actually be put on the ballot in November for a vote to be approved by the voters of Stillwater. So it would require a new franchise to be granted by the voters of Stillwater.
I see.
To allow it, and that the franchise fee of 3% and the way that's used would be in the ordinance itself.
Okay.
And so we do have the first reading of that ordinance on for tonight as well. And in fact, we have a special meeting tomorrow to second read that ordinance, because it will have to get on a ballot for November, and to be able to get it to the clerk in time to get it on the November ballot, we've got to get that ordinance through the city council process as quickly as we can.
I see.
And so,
Okay.
yes, if everything goes forward the way we anticipate it to, or I anticipate it to at least, there would be a ballot question in November for all of the citizens of Stillwater to approve that franchise.
Okay, okay.
For this
And-
project specifically.
Okay, yeah, so the franchise would just be for the
Yes,
data
for
centers?
just
to
for the
provide
service
power
of this
for the data
project.
centers? Okay.
As OG&E currently has a franchise to serve OSU's campus in Stillwater.
Oh, of course, okay.
So that was passed
Okay.
many years ago, several years ago at least, before any of us were, I think, involved. But similar sort of a deal, a specific franchise agreement for a very specific place to serve.
Okay.
And GRDA is aware of all this.
Yes, yes, yes. As to energy use and fossil fuels and that sort of thing, I don't know if Lisa or if we have a representative for the company that would like to address that.
My name's Sean Byrne. I'm
If you could come up to the microphone, we'd appreciate it.
My name's Sean Byrne. I'm an attorney representing the company from Columbus, Ohio. And
You can pull that microphone up to your.
and I
there you go.
appreciate y'all having us here. The company is very excited to be moving forward with this project according to the project plan that Lisa so well articulated. It's a very complicated process, and we appreciate that. With respect to energy impacts, the company absolutely. Energy is a huge concern for the company because, of course, as you identified, it's a huge expense. It's a very large expense. The company's data centers are, on average, 30% more efficient than typical data centers, and the company is very focused on making it a priority to be more and more energy efficient, looking at clean sources of energy, and really trying to maximize those clean sources, including both on electricity and with respect to water. It's something that's a matter of continuous improvement for the company, and that is a focus. The project's moving forward here because OG&E and the city can serve the company's needs for this data center, and the company is excited by this opportunity. But obviously, every opportunity to mitigate costs of energy is critical. This is a very competitive business, and the more efficient you can run, the better. So that's something the company is always focused on.
What about the mix of clean energy and potentially non-fossil fuel energy in this?
So the company is always open to that. Right now, we're focused on just being able to get the data center up and running. My understanding is that the company has a number of, I've worked with the company for a while now. The company has a number of clean energy efficiency initiatives around the country. And is focused on green energy. It's hard to tie it specifically to a particular site. That's going to depend as the engineering develops.
Okay. Sure.
Thank you for that. But to follow up, I wonder if, does OG&E, I see that there are representatives here from OG&E, can you say what's the capacity for providing
Robin?
clean energy for this project?
Yeah,
Or
you
will
could just
that come
direct
up?
the questions up
Okay,
here. And then
sorry,
we'll-
sorry.
I appreciate,
Yeah.
we just, from a
Yeah.
process standpoint, yes, you'd like to know what OG&E's ability is to provide clean
Yes.
energy portfolios?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. I know we do have some OG&E folks here. If you're willing and able to answer a question about what the mix of clean and fossil fuel energy might look like.
Hello, Council. My name is Kimberly Adams, and I'm a Community Affairs Manager with OG&E, and I have a colleague, Tammy Taylor, who is with me in the same role. I cannot answer specifically of our renewable energy breakdown, but what I can assure everyone in the room of is that OG&E is continually expanding our renewable energy portfolio. That is something that we have to present to the Oklahoma Corporation Commission, and it becomes approved at that point, so we have to get approval before we can do that. But with that being said, wind is expanding and also solar. So we're very focused on making that entire mix work. And I think that's what people have to understand, is that we have to have this balance of when we go into renewable energy, that we make sure that when someone goes to flip a light switch on, they still have the power for that light to come on. But that's the most specific I can give right now, but I can get more specifics if you need me to do so.
Appreciate that.
Sorry.
That's all right. Thank you. Thanks for being here. Certainly some more information still to answer some of those questions from Ms. Cornwell, but we'll continue to provide additional information as we can. And you'll have an opportunity to come back in a couple of weeks and speak again. Thank you for being here. Next up, I have Roger Gose.
Roger Gose, 1120 East Connell. Appreciate the opportunity. I didn't even know if I was going to talk. That's why I turned that in, just in case. But also appreciate you giving people an opportunity if they didn't sign up.
Well, the law makes us, but we would do it anyway.
I appreciate it. Yeah. Boy, this was a lot to read, and I'm all for this project. It's a great project. Staff has worked many, many hours on a very difficult, a whole bunch of parts, and I understand the mayor's been right there with them, so appreciate that. One concern is in the document, the plan, and then in the ordinance. And the plan, it's on Exhibit B, but it talks about airport road commercial development, all caps. That doesn't exist if you're looking at platted land. So at some point, need to wrap a plat around this thing. And so that it gets filed as that, and then we could talk about lots 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. And anyway, I think that's
Tell
probably
me the section that you're citing there.
Sir?
What section were you?
Exhibit B in the plan. The first part of it gives the long legal description of the whole boundary.
Oh, okay.
And then it calls out, what are those, the increment, or the sections 1, 2, 3, lots, I think it calls it that way. But if we're going to call it something like that, we have a subdivision.
I understand. Okay, I get you.
Okay.
I got you. Yeah.
But I think that's
That's
technically could be fixed.
yes.
And
But that's why we need you to make sure that we're pointing that stuff
I'm
out.
trying. And I think the electricity thing has been worked out. I've been in deeper discussion with staff, and that's awesome. That'll work really great. Thank you.
Thank you, Roger. So,
I'll just say that, of course, the Local Development Act requires the description of the project area and each incentive district to describe the boundaries of the areas as they exist. So if the properties have not been platted, it's appropriate for there to be a meets and bounds description only. But of course, if they're platted, then that's certainly acceptable, and the project plan can, there can be a minor amendment to it to reflect that.
okay. Feel free.
Sean Byrne again for the company. Yes, my understanding is that we're going to be submitting a final plat proposal shortly. I'm not sure whether that's coming in the next couple weeks but it should be very soon. But we appreciate, Mr. Ghost, appreciate pointing that out, because that is a good reminder that we need to get that in ASAP. Thank you.
Thank you. Lots of moving parts. Next up, I have Drew Gagliardi. No? Did I get it? Okay. Thought maybe one of those G's was silent or something.
Thank you all very much for this opportunity, and I know I've sent an email to you all ahead of, I guess, the council meeting last month, and I appreciate your response, Mayor. Got some good information. I have a couple concerns. Everything seems to be veiled in secrecy. We can't give specific data points and until everything's passed through, and I have a concern with that. When I looked at the Stillwater Planning Commission meeting Mr. Moore spoke at last month, noise concerns were, it doesn't exceed our current noise ordinance. There's nothing specific on noise ordinances anywhere. I don't know what the recourse is. It's any annoying noise, essentially. What's the city's recourse on that? Speaking of the wastewater, we get told it's the company but they have vast experience doing this, but we haven't, the wastewater they use hasn't been disclosed, none of the studies to the public. And I'm wondering if we're going to get that, or does everything have to be passed through? Looking and doing my own research, I've seen that a mid-sized data center averages about 300,000 gallons per day. And at Stillwater's current average use of 6 million gallons a day, that's 5% of the city's capacity of water every day for one data center of a mid-size. I saw with the OG&E franchise agreement, the company looks to be Kipper LLC. From what I don't know what that is, but it looks like it's an AI development. AI neural development takes 6 times per kilowatt hour more than standard computing data centers. I have a huge concern with why the data and the research and all the work that's gone into this hasn't been made public. You made a Facebook post when the district was approved last month, Mr. Mayor, and there's been excitement, but it seems the public comment period, the input has been buried in the agenda. There's been no, hey, this is a huge deal for the town. But there's only 3 of us here, and I'm not opposed to it. I'm not opposed to this. I'm not even for it yet. The information doesn't seem very forthcoming. It seems like a great money grab. And for what the money that comes through over 25 years, on my calculations, these pilot payments, based on Stillwater's fiscal year for last year, 161.7 million. The average benefit in these franchise fees and the community betterment payments would be an increase in the city budget, or a benefit of 1% of Stillwater city budget. For Stillwater Public Schools alone, that's $624,000. Using the 24-25 funding budget of $47 million, that would be a 1% increase in Stillwater's public schools as tax dollars, or a 3% increase over what they got in 24 and 25 ad valorem taxes. I just don't see the benefit overall, but I can see the indirect benefit of maybe having jobs, workers, all of that here. But is there going to be a period where the public actually gets the information regarding energy usage, water usage? It's a finite resource. Data centers use a lot of it. And we're getting the company and no straight information. And I know we all want to have better things for Stillwater. We need money, and there's work that's gone into this, but I feel that not everything has been forthright and forthcoming, and there seems to be a big eagerness to push this through without the public having every single bit of information to comment on it and to even approve the franchise, even with the reading. Let's just push this through, and Stillwater will benefit from it over the course of 25 years, So anyway, but I do hope a lot of thought goes into this, that you consider these concerns and don't just rubber stamp them. And I certainly appreciate anything that benefits Stillwater economically with the right considerations taken. So thank you very much for your time. I appreciate it.
Thank you, sir. I would address a couple of those comments or questions, I guess. Just in terms of, discussion of public hearing and public comment on this issue. With any economic development project that we work on, there is a long period of time where the project is, it's a private development, right? It's not something that is publicly discussable. We use code names for projects all the time where we're trying to figure out with a company if this is the right fit for them. We don't know, we don't get all the information about it. We just know what that company needs from a resource standpoint and whether we can meet those needs. When it gets to the point where there is some sort of incentive or some sort of city issue that has to be taken, that's when it starts being discussed in city meetings, which is what we're doing here. I think the initial step we took, passed a resolution to create the committee that looked at this from the initial standpoint from the taxing jurisdictions was several months ago. Honestly, not even sure when we initially created the committee. I don't know if anybody's got that on hand, but that committee met. That was a public meeting, publicly disclosed. You know, you mentioned my comments about it. My comments about this have always, you know, mentioned that there will be public hearings and we want the public engaged. So I you know, I appreciate the fact that there's a lot of information out there that the public necessarily doesn't have that really we don't have either. This is a private development, and they, you know, in terms of what exactly their power usage is going to be and what exactly their water usage is going to be, they, you know, what we need to know is how much do you need and can we provide it? And from the standpoint of working through this system this project over the last several months, over the last several years, you know, we've been told this is how much we think we'll need from a capacity standpoint, and we've looked at can we provide that, and do we think we can, do we have that much water that we can give them? Do we have that much power? Does OG&E have that much power? And those questions have been answered. Yes, we have the capacity to be able to serve what the company is asking us to be able to provide for them. In terms of their wastewater output, you know, we have you know, we have regulations about what they can put out into wastewater. Those have been reviewed by our engineering staff. You know, I appreciate the fact that I can't sit here and tell you exactly how many watts and exactly how many gallons and all that sort of thing, but we wouldn't be able to do that for any manufacturing facility that was going to, you know, we have a new manufacturing facility that purchased the Armstrong building and is going to put a new facility in there. We don't get all of their specifics of how they use water and power. We just know, you know, kind of what their capacities are and whether we can serve them. And we know that they have to follow all the regulations we have in place for all our other industrial properties here in Stillwater. So there's a lot of detail there that, you know, it would be nice if we knew all the inner workings of how this data center is going to work, and if we knew the inner workings of how that new manufacturing facility is going to work. But it's a private company. It's a you know, it's not necessarily something we need to know. We just need to know, can we provide what they've asked us to provide? One of the reasons, to sort of expound on that, one of the reasons we're only talking about 2 phases at this point is that what they've asked for in terms of power and water capacity, we can only support two phases under current capacity. If they want to build more buildings on this data center campus, they're going to have to go out and figure out how to get more power and water to their site, which is something that the company will be responsible for doing. And so, yeah, I mean, those are questions that we have answered, we have gone through and talked about and asked. And so I appreciate the fact that, you know, there's a lot of information out there that, you know, needs to be discussed. And I think we're doing that in a way that, you know, gives the public as much opportunity as needed to figure out, is this a good thing for the city of Stillwater or not? From my personal viewpoint of it, we can provide the power, we can provide the water. We trust, you know, we understand that what they're going to put out in terms of wastewater is something we can handle. You know, benefit to the city budget and the school budget and that sort of thing. I would certainly invite you to talk to Superintendent Gordon about what he thinks $600,000 of additional money to the school budgets will mean. You know, I think one of the things I posted in Facebook is that this is, from a revenue standpoint, the equivalent of building $250,000, $300,000 homes on this piece of property. That's a big boost. 1% is 1% when you're talking about, you know, school budgets and that sort of thing. That's a good amount of money for stuff that they currently do not have the funding for. Same with the city of Stillwater. I mean, we're talking about, you know, the potential of $30 million plus into our ability to fund public spaces, things like our public swimming pool that we don't have $1.5 million to fix right now. I mean, that's, yeah, I mean, maybe it's not a huge amount of money, but it's pieces of money that we have, we don't have available now that we need to have available. So overall, while I appreciate the concerns, and I certainly want to get you all the information we can get you, and anybody else in the public, you know, there are parameters here that we're looking at to say, can we support this? Is it a good thing for the public? And you know, in all of the review committees so far, all the people who've looked at it have felt pretty strongly that it's a good thing. So we will continue to give you more information as we can, and certainly continue to take input from folks in the city. And you know, we have another meeting on September 9th where people can come back and tell us whether they think this is a good idea or not. All of us are available by email. all of us are available to answer any questions anybody has at any point. So, you know, I get that it's something that, I mean, literally I got into in 2018. This was one of the first economic development projects when I was elected mayor that came across my desk. So I've been thinking about this and learning about it for a long time. And when we present it to the city, it's a much more, or present it to the public, it's a much more condensed sort of a thing. But that's why we elect people. That's why we have, you know, folks that work at the city to be able to manage these things. And so we can't run everything by everybody every day, right? So this is the way the process is supposed to work. So hopefully, you know, we're able to continue to provide the information that people need, and we'll continue to take the input that we have from folks in the community. July 9th, well, that's when we had the meeting for the first tax. Yeah, but we as the city council established that like February or March, I think we established that committee. So, I mean, this has been a public conversation for several months. At least parts of it have been a public conversation for several months. Okay, so I don't have anybody else sign up to speak. Did we get any other forms? Anybody else that had a question that wanted to address it here?
Just not.
Lisa, do we need anything else from you? You want to give us an update on just kind of what the next step is?
Would you like to close
If I
the
could-
public hearing?
I will.
Well, I'll just add one thing to the mayor's very well stated comments there. While the EDA has not been, or I'm sorry, the Economic Development Agreement has not been dispersed and distributed for review, and the company is waiting patiently for our draft. The terms of the memorandum of agreement agreed to by the company provide that top priority on water and wastewater services will be given to residential areas and public services, including police, fire, emergency response services, and healthcare services. So that will be embedded in our development agreement, which will be up for consideration at the next meeting.
Thank you for adding that. Okay, so at this point, I will go ahead and close the public hearing. We will have a second public hearing on this item, September 9th at our regular city council meeting, right here in this room at 5:30 on September 9th. So for those of you who want to make additional comments or want to let your neighbors know that they can come make comments if they have them, that second meeting will be September 9th. And at this time, we'll move to item 8 on the agenda, which is general orders. 8A is our Lake McMurtry annual report.
Good evening. I'm Barbara Bliss, Director of Parks and Community Resources, and it is my pleasure to introduce Jill Van Egmond, who's the Executive Director of Lake McMurtry, and she is here to give her annual report. I'll leave it all to you.
Thanks, Barb. You're welcome. Mayor, City Council, thank you so much for having us here tonight. It's always fun to come and share some of the achievements and the things that we've accomplished in our last fiscal year. Our year started off with a strategic planning session with our board of directors where we created a 1-, 3-, and 5-year plan. In that process, we also reworked our mission statement that we think defines us better. So our new mission statement is to offer a gateway to nature through sustainable outdoor activities and environmental learning. We are committed to conserving and showcasing the lake's natural beauty and cultural heritage, ensuring accessibility and enjoyment for all, and inspiring responsible stewardship of our shared natural world that serves both our community and future generations. And please forgive my typo. It says 2022-23 year-to-date, but it's actually 2023-24 year-to-date. When we ended our fiscal year, we had 605 active annual members. We had over 42,000 total visits for the year from 40 different states and 163 different Oklahoma communities. This actually remained the same as last year. The most common states represented are Oklahoma, Texas, Kansas, Arkansas, and Colorado. And then the most common Oklahoma communities represented are Stillwater, Edmond, Guthrie, Oklahoma City, Enid, Perry, Tulsa, Perkins, Glencoe, and Yukon. Our revenue remained steady in our last fiscal year. So overall, we generated over $500,000 in revenue at Lake McMurtry. And part of the strategic plan was a succession plan. We felt that that was very important to create. And so we decided we needed to hire an assistant director, that we did, and Mike Hale. Mike brings with him so much experience and so many incredible certifications and credentials, and has been a tremendous asset to our team, so we are thrilled to have him on board. We still have a very robust programs out at Lake McMurtry, continuing with our beginner backpacking clinics. We also added basic kayaking skills. Adventure Camp is obviously, one of our pride and joys. We had 6 weeks of Adventure Camp this summer with a different theme each week under Mike's direction, and the kids had a blast. And it was once again a successful program. And I'm most excited to talk about Ride to Thrive, our newest program last year. We launched Ride to Thrive in September, and it's an after-school earn-a-bike program for 7th grade students at Stillwater Middle School. We had 9 students that were recommended by their teachers and counselors for the program, and we had 8 graduate in May. So everything we wanted to accomplish through this program, we did. We taught safe cycling, we taught healthy lifestyles, we taught community, we did field trips to the fire station, to the Botanic Gardens. We watched these kids that started off the year all isolated and separate become one group and one unit by the end of the year, supporting each other, cheering each other on. We had one student who didn't know how to ride a bike in the beginning, and all of the other students helped her and cheered her on, and she was such a strong rider by the end of the year. We couldn't have done it without our community partners, Stillwater Public Schools, District Bicycles, TSET, Leadership Stillwater Class 31 that helped us raise all the funds to launch this program, and Walmart on 6th, who actually donated all of the bikes that were given to the students upon graduation. Along with the bikes, they also received safety vests, bells, water bottles, water bottle cages, lights, everything they need to be able to cycle around Stillwater safely, plus a 5-year annual pass to Lake McMurtry, so it will take them through high school.
Please say they all got helmets too.
Oh yes, I'm sorry, I
Thank
left
you.
out helmets. But yes, all of the helmets that they're wearing in the photo are the ones they got to take with them at the end of the year. So we are super excited for year number 2 with Ride to Thrive, and we can't wait to see what it holds, and we feel we'll have more students come through the program now that the teachers and the counselors understand really more of what it's about, and how it positively impacted their students. Last year, we had our 2nd year of the Orange Dirt Trail Series. You can run, it's a trail run, you can run a 5K, 10K, half, or a full marathon. It was incredibly successful in its 2nd year, and we're in our planning for our 3rd year that will take place in October, but it's a wonderful fundraiser for the lake. We had our lights on the lake, our holiday light display again, and we had over 1,500 people come through and had over 750,000 lights that we continue to grow each year. So it's something we're excited to offer to the community. It starts right after Thanksgiving and goes up until Christmas. And if you haven't had a chance to come out and check it out, I highly encourage it. It's really spectacular. We have a walk through Enchanted Forest along with a drive-through aspect. So there's something for everybody. Oh, this year we did not get to have Chili Bike. We got rained out and weren't able to reschedule. The heavens opened up, and so we weren't able to do it. But we will have Chili Bike. We'll get it back next year as well. So if you have any questions, I'm happy to answer them.
What was Chili Bike? I don't know that one.
So Chili Bike is a trail mountain bike event, and it's a race that's not really a race. You can ride one trail or you can ride all four, but really the fun part of it is that it's a huge potluck, and everybody brings chili and all the fixings and desserts, and it's really impressive to see these people come and eat these huge bowls of chili and then go out and ride the trails again and come back and have some more chili, and I don't know how they do it without, getting sick. I could do it. But the vibe is great. We have great music. Everyone has a wonderful time, and it's called Chili Bike because we have chili, but it's also really cold. We usually have it in February, and so chances are there might be snow on the ground.
You going to do that next year, Tim?
No, absolutely not. I'll come eat the chili.
Yeah, you're not that.
It's my favorite.
No, I'm not.
Come on out and eat the chili.
I
We'd
will.
love to have you.
Jill, I always look forward to your annual reports. You're such a bright spot in our council meetings, and I think such a great example of what a city and a public-private partnership is really meant to do. You always have such great new things that you're offering our community with this community resource, and I'm so proud of the work that you're doing. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, the bike to thrive.
Ride to Thrive.
Ride to Thrive. Really cool program, and the fact that you guys have been able to go and find the funds to do that and put that together is really, really impressive, because that's not just kind of the core of keeping the lake going. That's going out and figuring out ways to get more people out there, and how do we expand what your impact is on Stillwater beyond just maintaining trails and keeping the lake looking nice, which is fantastic. I mean, it's great that you guys can do that, one, and that you do it so well. So we really appreciate the effort that you and your staff and everybody at Lake McMurtry has put into making this community a better place.
Oh, thank you so much. It's really our goal not to just be a destination, to be a value in the community and to make impact outside of just the lake. So
You're doing it well.
thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate you being here.
Absolutely.
Item 9, resolutions. 9A is Resolution CC-2024-25, a resolution of the Stillwater City Council adopting the Stillwater Regional Airport Title VI Plan as required by the Federal Aviation Administration for recipients of federal finance assistance. Kelly, do you want to say anything about this? This is just our standard, we've got to have these policies in place as a FAA grant recipient.
That's correct, Mayor and Council. Kelly Reed, Airport Director. The FAA requires that commercial service airports comply with this new guidance. So the Title VI plan is based on an FAA template for airports to make sure that we're meeting all non-discrimination requirements outlined in Title VI.
Thank you so much. Councilors, any questions or action on the resolution?
Well, first of all, I was curious to note all the different languages that existed in our community off the census, which is truly amazing. I had no idea we had some of those languages I've never heard of before.
That's good to know. Further questions, comments, or action on the resolution?
Motion to adopt resolution number CC-2024-25.
Second.
A motion and a second to adopt the resolution. Please vote. With a vote of 5-0, resolution CC-2024-25 is adopted. Next up is ordinances on item 10. So first read is ordinance 3543, and I'm going to read the title of this. This is the one related to a franchise being granted to Oklahoma Gas and Electric, OG&E, for the facility that we were just discussing, the data center. As I said in the comment, this ordinance would have to pass the council and then be given to the county election board so that they could put it on a ballot in November. We're doing first read of this tonight. We will do second read of it tomorrow at a special meeting at noon, so that it is through the council part of the process so that we can get it to the county election board and they can get it on the ballot for November. Again, this is all pending approval of everything else, right? So Anyway, Ordinance 3543, an ordinance granting to the Oklahoma Gas and Electric Company and Oklahoma Corporation, its successors and assigns, the right to produce, transmit, distribute, and sell electricity for all purposes for which it may be used by Kipper LLC, its affiliates and subsidiaries, on specific property more particularly described on Exhibit A attached hereto, and the right to construct, maintain, and operate a system of poles, wires, conduits, and other facilities and equipment in, upon, across, under, and over the streets, alleys, and public grounds or ways in the city for the limited purpose of providing electricity to said property in accordance with the city's right-of-way management ordinances and policies for a period of 25 years, providing compensation to the city, ordering an election, and declaring an emergency. Questions or comments? Or action on the ordinance?
I move to advance ordinance 3543 to second reading.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to advance the ordinance. Please vote. With a vote of 5-0, ordinance 3543 is advanced to second reading. Item B is ordinance 3544. This is an ordinance approving and adopting the Stillwater Data Center Economic Development Project Plan and supporting.
Mayor, I'm sorry to interrupt you. We need, on ordinance 3543, we have to take second action to declare the emergency clause.
Thank you for reminding me.
Yes.
Is there action on the emergency clause on 3543? Motion, or is there a motion to declare an emergency?
I move we declare an emergency.
Second.
We have a motion and a second on the emergency clause. Please vote. With a vote of 5-0, that ordinance, the emergency clause is approved for ordinance 3543. Now 3544, and this is the ordinance that would adopt the project plan. Again, we're doing first reading tonight. We would do second reading of this ordinance on September 9th when we have the second public hearing, and passing this ordinance would be the ordinance by which we adopt the plan if we decide to do that. So, first read of ordinance 3544, an ordinance approving and adopting the Stillwater Data Center Economic Development Project Plan and supporting incentive districts pursuant to the Oklahoma Local Development Act, identifying and establishing 6 incentive districts, designating and adopting project area and incentive district boundaries, deferring the numerical designations and effective dates for the incentive districts, adopting certain findings, authorizing the City of Stillwater and the Stillwater Economic Development Authority to carry out and administer the project plan, ratifying and confirming the actions, recommendations, and findings of the Review Committee and the Stillwater Planning Commission, approving and adopting a tax incentive agreement, providing for severability, and declaring an emergency. And I will also just note you have a copy of this ordinance that was up here on the table because there was a single number 2 omitted on page 7. So we would be adopting this version with the 2 added. Or
That's correct.
Moving on this ordinance.
And there's additional copies available at the marketing table for the public if you'd like to see, but just first full paragraph that reads subsequent phases, it should say if phase 2 is completed, and that number 2 was inadvertently omitted. It's been added.
Thank you.
Can we make one motion to advance and declare emergency, or does it have to be 2 motions?
By separate action of the city council to
All right.
adopt the emergency clause.
Is there action on the ordinance?
Motion to advance ordinance number 3544.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to advance the ordinance. Please vote. With a vote of 5-0, ordinance 3544 is advanced to second reading. Is there action on the emergency clause?
Make a motion to add the emergency clause to the ordinance.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to declare the emergency. Please vote. With a vote of 5-0, that emergency clause is added. That takes us to reports from the officers and the board. Ms. Carnley, anything from you?
Nothing to report.
Must be nice. Ms. Meek?
The city is accepting applications for citizen representatives to serve on various committees, including Audit Committee and the Stillwater Reinvestment Plan Implementation Policy Committee, also known as the Downtown TIF Number 3. These committees are essential for increased development and infrastructure projects within our community. If you would like to get involved in your local government and help make Stillwater even greater, please consider serving on one or more of these committees. For more information or to apply online, go to stillwaterok.gov/citizen boards.
Thank you so much. Vice Mayor Jalowski.
Join us at the 2024 Payne County Free Fair from August 28th through the 31st. The City of Stillwater departments, including Waste Management, the Public Library, Communications, Public Works, and more, will share a booth near Emergency Management, Fire, and Police in the community building. Please stop by, pick up some swag, and let us know how we can help you in our community. Hope to see you there.
Thank you so much. Councilor Hawkins.
It is back to school time for Stillwater Public Schools, Oklahoma State University, Meridian Technology, and Northern Oklahoma College. There is an increase in walkers and cyclists near campuses and throughout our community. There's also an increase in traffic everywhere. Please be mindful when driving. Always stop at crosswalks to let pedestrians pass, obey school zone speed limits, and do not pass another vehicle in a school zone. Be an attentive driver, put your cell phone away, and be aware of what or who may be around you or on the road. Additionally, you must stop your vehicle at least 20 feet before reaching a school bus that is stopped with its red lights flashing. Together, we can ensure our students arrive at their destination safely.
Very important. Thank you so
Yes.
much. That's today's the first day. I don't know if you guys noticed, but it was the first day on campus for OSU students.
Chaos.
Yeah,
It's
we
a little
noticed.
busy. It's a little busy around town.
Your chaos.
Councilor Clark.
This is a busy and exciting time in Stillwater with many big projects underway. At Stillwater Regional Airport, there's much work being done with demolition of Hangar 1 and surrounding concrete to begin around the 1st of September. We're looking at groundbreaking event for the new terminal to occur around the 1st of October. Regarding rail trails, last week we received notice from the Surface Transportation Board that permits the city and ODOT to enter trail use negotiations. This means we are even closer to constructing the extension to connect Boomer Lake Park on the north side of Stillwater with Couch Park in the southeastern part of the city. Block 34 and Fire Station number 2 have live construction cameras at the sites so we can see the progress in real time. Currently, these projects are running on time, and we're looking at summer-fall 2025 completion. To see more updates, go online to stillwaterok.gov/projects. If you have additional questions about projects, please email Communications Director Dawn Dotson at dawn.dotson@stillwaterok.gov.
Good update. I was hoping to hear some about those projects. It's really exciting. I mean, the Kamioka Trail or the Rails to Trails project, getting that authorization from the federal government is a big step forward, and I'm looking forward to seeing that. Thanks. Councilor Harden.
Let's try that one again. The City of Stillwater is hiring. Full and part-time positions are available in a variety of areas, including police, waste management, finance, water utility, and public works, and more. Also, we have a text service that notifies when there are openings in the fire and police departments. To receive these notifications, please text the word police or fire to area code 405-742-8281. For a full list of employment opportunities with the city and to apply, go online to stillwaterok.gov/jobs.
All right, thanks so much. I will let you know that it's almost football season here in Stillwater. A couple more weeks, we're going to have home football games. If you're looking for a better way to park to get down to the OSU football games, the University Athletics, City of Stillwater, and Visit Stillwater have teamed up to offer free parking, shuttle service, and a full game day guide. The Park and Ride shuttle service begins 3 hours before the game and runs every 30 minutes. The pickup and drop-off locations at 7th Avenue and Lewis Street, just over here by City Hall. You can park for free downtown, ride the shuttle to the game, and then ride the shuttle back and go out and get a pizza or have a beer. For a free game day guide, you can go online to visitstillwater.org. They've got all kinds of information about other parking opportunities, places you can park. They usually have a list of like who's raising money. You know, you can go park at the YMCA lot and raise money for certain folks. So go to visitstillwater.org and get all the information you're going to need for game day coming up. Save money, beat the rush, park downtown, come early, shop and dine local, and as always, go Cowboys. If there's nothing further, I'd entertain a motion to adjourn the City Council.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to adjourn the City Council. Please vote. With a vote of 5-0, the Stillwater City Council is now adjourned. At this time, we'll call to order the Stillwater Utilities Authority meeting for August 19th, 2024. Trustees, questions, comments, or action on the consent docket?
Motion to approve the consent docket.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve consent. Please vote. With a vote of 5-0, the consent docket is approved. There's nothing else on this agenda. Is there a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to adjourn SUA. Please vote. With a vote of 5-0, Stillwater Utilities Authority is now adjourned, and that concludes our meetings for this evening.